A song of friendship leads in logic to a song of love. Played now by a gentleman whose heroic measures today are keeping culture alive at Yale, and whose artistry has exhausted the superlatives of critics in 14 languages and several dialects. They dwell on his exquisite sonority, unaffected mastery, and pearl-like performance. So on the edge of our chairs, as we have many times been, we welcome the renowned Claude Frank.
Good evening. This is nothing terribly serious. It is a parody on a film made about Schumann many years ago called The Song of Love, in which Clara Schumann was Katharine Hepburn, Schumann was Paul Hendry, Brahms was Robert Walker, Liszt was Henry Daniell, and so on down the line. And I do everybody. I do everybody. I must say though, I've done it many times. I think more times than I've played any concerto. Seriously. However, I've never done it for so many elegant people. And there's another thing, I've never done it for so many people altogether. So, Bob, where is my neck mic? I shall need one. I know I don't need it now. I do, however, this involves playing and talking sometimes. And when it's both, then the piano so overpowers the voice. I don't mean qualitatively, I mean just quantitatively. Therefore, I need a neck mic for just those occasions. Okay, also have to close the piano for the same reason. But since the neck mic isn't coming, it is. Oh, thank you. Okay. Oh yeah, this is, now I can whisper. You see, Clara very often whispers during this thing. And it's not good to whisper. I'm not a stage whisperer. See? Now. How's that? All right. Okay. Fine. Robert, can you hear me? Okay. I think I've told you who is in the play. So this is very simple. It begins with Clara Wieck playing Liszt, whose first concerto is being premiered. Liszt is up in the box, beaming, of course, beautifully played by Clara, with Professor Wieck, her father, sitting next to her, telling her what to do. Okay, now, no pedal, Clara. Yes, father. Okay, now the octaves, Clara. Okay, father. Less pedal, Clara. Yes, father. Slow now. Yes, father. In the meantime, Liszt up in the balcony beams. Never-ending applause, of course. Fine, Liszt gets up, and Clara, of course, backstage. Professor Wieck says to Clara, as an encore, you will play La Campanella. Clara says, Father, if you don't mind, I'm going to play Trimarai. La Campanella is the encore. Daddy, please. The camera flashes on Professor Wieck, who's backstage, fuming. And then the camera flashes on Paul Hendry, who's in the middle of the audience, beaming. And finally the camera goes on Clara, full passionate of love and more sentimental than ever. Gives the first performance of the Trimarai, just composed. Backstage. Oh, Robert, how did it sound? Oh, it was beautiful. Oh, Robert, was it as beautiful as you imagined? Oh, it was much more beautiful than I ever dreamed it would be. And I'm so happy, Robert, I could play. Professor Wieck comes. You disgraced the audience. You insulted His Majesty. Father, I've done it because I love him. And then comes Schumann. And Mr. Schumann, I want to have a word with you. I understand that you want to marry my daughter. And I'd like to tell you herewith that I am completely against such a union. But, Professor Wieck, it is not fair. Yes. Sorry. She should marry a man of means. And if it's not a man of means, she should marry a man of talent. Oh, but Professor Wieck, this is not fair. I've lived with you, I've worked with you. You've lived with me and you've been treated behind my back. But Professor Wieck, Schumann, Mr. Schumann, there are laws, and I'm going to take advantage of these laws. Fade out. Next scene in the courtroom. Your Worship, I love him. I love him proudly and humbly. Please, Your Worship, give us permission to live together under the same sky. And the judge gets to have tears in his eyes, and he says, "It is hard for me, who for years has judged nothing but human hatred, suddenly to be confronted with the problem of human love. Your father, whatever his shortcomings may be, has proved himself an excellent guardian to you. What have I heard about Mr. Schumann, except that you love him?" Professor Wieck, will you rise, please? And then Professor Wieck, who by that time everybody already hates, gets up, and the judge says, "I cannot say that it gives me pleasure to decide this case in your favor." And the whole courtroom goes, shuffles feet. And somebody gets up, he says, "Who are you?" And the whole courtroom, "Franz Liszt." And the whole court goes, and then finally, order. May I insist on customary court procedure? Your name, please. Franz Liszt. Speak, Mr. Liszt. I think that we ought to investigate the question of Mr. Schumann's talents just a little bit more than it has been in this courtroom so far. Of course, I do not know how Professor Wieck estimates my judgment, or my talent for that matter. And the whole courtroom goes. But I can only report that I consider it considerable that the University of Vienna afforded him an honorary doctor's degree, and that even more recently Miss Wieck played one of Mr. Schumann's recent compositions called Träumerei. The composition may not have pleased Professor Wieck, but it greatly pleased His Majesty the King. And who are we to contest His Majesty's tastes? Fade out, for better or for worse, richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health. And they go up to the Schumann apartment. Robert, is it here? No. Oh, I love climbing stairs, Robert. So they go one more. Robert, is it here? No. One more. It's here. You see the apartment? Oh, is it not beautiful? Yes, it is beautiful. Very little problem there. She opens a suitcase and takes out a book, diary. Goes up to Robert. Says, "Robert, sorry. Robert, this is my diary. It's me and it's you. It's what I think and feel and do, and it's what you think and feel and do. It's you, it's I, it's you and I together." And he looks at it, "Oh, Clara, it's beautiful." And goes to the piano and says, "It's a little poem by Rickert. I've set it to music, my wedding present. You are my soul, you are my heart, my grief and joy, my counterpart. You are the world in which I live. You are the heaven in which I dwell. And you are the grave into which I sink all my grief and my sorrow. Not much in the way of a wedding present, but I hope you like it. She turns to him and says, "Oh, Robert, it is beautiful." This being the second verse, she's so talented that she plays along with him right away, an octave higher, and in such a way that one sees the wedding rings sparkle. And again turning to him, she says, "Oh, Robert, thank you. Thank you, Robert." Fade out, long fade out, about 5 years fade out. To the background, one sees a young man whom one recognizes as Robert Walker, going towards the Schumann house and ringing the bell, and Bertha answers, "Yes! Oh, Professor Schumann in. Professor Schumann is busy! But I have a letter. You have to wait!" So Brahms waits, and one child after another comes crawling in, and finally Schumann appears, and "Who are you?" "I have a letter." Let me see it. "Oh, Joachim. How is Joachim?" "He was fine when I left him, sir." "You young composer?" "Yes." "Play something for me?" "I'd like to." So as Schumann stands over the piano, Brahms, the young man, no sooner has he started, but one sees upstairs Clara coming out of her room and slowly, ever so slowly, inching her way down until finally she stands next to Schumann. Young man sees her, stops. Silence. And Clara says, "Won't you take your coat off?" So, as the young man turns, "Take his coat off, Clara." "Robert, who is he?" "Oh, the young composer." "Robert, who is he?" Joachim said. "Robert, who is he?" Brahms. Johannes Brahms. By that time the coat is off. Brahms comes back to the piano and continues. Nobody says a word until Clara goes over and kisses him on the cheek. Schumann says, "But Mr. Brahms, this is magnificent. What do you want to study with me for?" "Oh, Professor Schumann, you're kidding." "No, your music is new. It's new. It's something that has never been said before. I repeat, what do you want to study with me for?" "Oh," says Brahms, "but ever since I was a little boy, it was your music, your piano music, your songs, your orchestral music that inspired me. May I study with you, Professor Professor Schumann. Well, Johannes, this is a big house, and come stay with us. And sure enough, and there isn't even a fade out because that night is New Year's Eve, but Bertha unfortunately just has left because she was insulted, reproached for not working hard enough, and she said, every morning with my feet in a bottle of hot water, I get up and it's still dark, and this man says I don't work hard enough, and goes out, and there's the New Year's Eve party to prepare, which of course Brahms does immediately, and then sure enough the guests arrive, and there's a very elegant New Year's Eve party, and it begins very nicely, but then they boil lead, and figures come out, and Schumann's figure, unfortunately, somebody identified as a coffin for the New Year's things to come, and that is not very nice. And Clara goes over to him and says, no, Robert, it's a money box. We're going to be rich. But the atmosphere by then is a little bit sullen, and so Clara says to Johannes, won't you play, Johannes? So Johannes goes to the next room where there's a piano and starts and everybody's happy and couples start dancing. So everybody laughs because suddenly it's fast, but they catch themselves and continue dancing fast. And everybody is sublimely happy until suddenly, as one watches Schumann, one hears. Whenever somebody else is on the screen, Clara, Brahms, all the guests, everything is fine. But as soon as Schumann comes, there's an old man standing next to Schumann, and Schumann, pain-stricken face, says to him, is there anything wrong with the piano? But the old man shakes his head and says, oh no, it's so beautiful. So finally, Clara goes up to Robert and takes him and dances and says, thank you, Robert. And Robert, pain-faced, thanks, Clara. And there is a fade out. And a few weeks later, Clara comes into the studio, and there sits Robert, not doing very much, holding his head. Clara says, Robert, do you have a headache? Yes. Is it the same headache you had last week? I says, I have a headache, it goes away, I get another headache. Will you keep calling it the same headache? Clara drops that subject. And says, I bumped into Huslicker, the manager, the other day, and you know what, Robert? He talked me into playing in Cologne again. Oh, and maybe other places too. Oh, of course I don't know if I even can play anymore. But I play your carnival if you let me. It'll be such fun. Robert says, you did not bump into Mr. Huslicker. You went to see Mr. Huslicker because you want to play, because you think that I cannot work anymore because I'm sick, and stop treating me like a child. She goes to the piano and says, listen, Robert, to speak to you. There's a great difference between me and you. I go and play, and the audiences love it, and they cheer. The next day I play somewhere else, and they love it, and they cheer. And so on, day after day, week after week, year after year. And someday, Robert, everyone will have forgotten me. But you, Robert, you are different. You write music that will never be forgotten. You write music which the angels will be proud to sing. And fade out the next scene. Robert in the box while Clara plays a Robert beaming. First performance of the carnival. Suddenly one hears from backstage. Clara hears me. And some people in the audience have never heard her play that fast before. What's the matter with her today? And won't even finish it and rushes out and the applause won't end and she won't even come backstage for a bow. And one is the baby, of course. Robert looks at his watch. Of course, it's feeding time. And sure enough, when one sees from the back the little feet of the baby running together, and everything is fine now. Never mind the carnival. And along comes Mr. Hasliger. The manager says, Miss Speak! Mrs. Schumann, if you please. We offer you London, Paris, Berlin, all of Europe will be at your feet. Mr. Hasliger, I have a husband and 7 children. Bring your husband along. Take your children along. The world will be at your feet. Schumann says, that's enough, Mr. Hasliger, and stop dropping ashes on the baby. And Hasliger turns around and goes home, and the Schumanns go back home. And as they come back home, they find the house is quarantined because little Julie, who was the favorite of Brahms, has the measles, and Brahms is taking care of little Julie. And little Julie, nobody else is allowed to see little Julie. And, Uncle Brahms, do you love me? Yes, Julie. Do you love me as much as Katie? Yes, Julie. Do you love me as much as Mommy? Brahms is embarrassed, practically blushing. He says, well, Julie, the man loves the child one way and the grown-up another way. Uncle Brahms, tell me a story. No, Julie, but I'll play you a song. Sure enough, goes to the piano and... Uncle Brahms! Yes, Julie. Good night. Good night, Julie. Downstairs, Schumann, outside his room, listening intently and enthusiastically to these new sounds coming from Brahms's piano. And of course, Julie's well the next day, and the children are playing in the yard, and everything is fine. And Clara sits there, and Dr. Hoffman comes and looks at Julie, and Julie's fine, and nothing, not even just a lot of drinking. The husband, always working, isn't it? Yes. What are these strange sounds I hear? Oh, doctor, why don't you go and see him? So doctor comes in, and there is Schumann in a practically dark room. Only one candle. He says, working? Yes, of course, doctor. What is it you're composing now? Well, it has a motto. The flowers in the forest are all wilted. Only one in their midst is red because it draws its blood from the blood of the others. They can't say I copied this. What do you mean, Professor Schumann? Well, the people, the critics, hey, I copied this one, so they have to say about me all the time. And hey, whatever I do is like a plot in the manuscript. Doctor says, sit down, Professor. You work too hard. Nobody's nerves can stand it. And he goes out and says to Clara, only a sudden success can help him. Oh, Faust, the Faust which Schumann had been sending to the publisher. Maybe it was accepted. The postman rings. Faust returned. On the screen, the picture of Liszt. Yes, of course, Liszt. Liszt had helped them once before. Next scene, next day, Brahms with Liszt showing him Faust. Oh, yes. Oh, very interesting. Very interesting. And how's Mrs. Schumann these days? Brahms says, she was fine when I left her. You're a strange man, Mr. Brahms. Most young composers would bring their own music. Did you say Mrs. Schumann was fine? Yes, she's fine. All right. I like the piece. Tomorrow night at the soiree, you come. Professor Schumann, Clara, and you. And I will introduce him to Mr. Reinecke, and the Faust will be done at the Gewandhaus. Fade out. And everybody yes, this plays. There's somebody with Reinecke. And this lady says to Reinecke, when is he going to pull the rabbit? He always pulls a rabbit sooner or later. And Reinecke says, you just wait. String breaks, and he holds up the string and shows it to the audience, and he jumps over to the other piano that's in that room, and he continues. And Reinecke says, there, it's your rabbit, your rabbit. And of course the applause won't end, and finally he has to end it, and he walks in the middle of the room where Clara sits. Before that, he says, as an encore, I shall play for you, paraphrased by myself, on a song called Dedication by my eminent colleague, Professor Schumann. And goes to the piano. This is the camera goes on. Clara turns to Robert and says, my wedding present. Dedication to love or dedication to pyrotechnics? Which is it, Robert? But Robert says, why, Clara, I think it's very interesting. And again, of course, the applause won't stop until he stops and then goes over to Clara and says, will it ever be possible to hear Her Majesty of the piano come back to the piano? And Clara says, why, Franz, for you I'd love to. And with Franz leaning over the piano, Clara goes, I wish I had the power, Franz. to translate simplicity into such stupendous experience. But there are times, Franz, when things seem to defy such translation. There's a difference, Franz, between your music, what it stands for, and Robert and his music and what it stands for. Love, Franz. Love, simple and unadorned, and coming from a heart, and only the heart here. Not crowds and cheers and riches and furs and jewels and empty praises, no, Franz, but love, love, simple and pure and unadorned, and coming from the heart, and only the heart. Love, simple and pure and unadorned. I don't know, Franz, if I've made myself clear, or if you know what I mean. And then she goes over and kisses him on the cheek and says, or do you know what I mean? And Reiniger is furious. How dare she insult you like this? And Liszt says, she did more than insult me. She described me. This Faust, he's an extraordinary piece and must be done at the Gewandhaus. So sure enough, enchanté, it's going to be done at the Gewandhaus. Fade out. Clara's coming home. Bertha, the maid, crying. Bertha, what's the matter? It's Mr. Brahms. He's leaving. So Clara rushes upstairs, where Brahms has just put his shirts into his suitcase. And Clara silently takes the shirts and puts them back into the drawer. And says, Johannes, you can't do that. You've stuck with us during the hard times. You must stay with us during the good times as well. Brahms takes the shirts, puts them back in the suitcase, and says, sorry, Clara, I have to go. Oh, I know, says Clara, but she puts the shirts back into the drawer. I know what it is. You can't work here, isn't it? The children make too much noise, don't they? No, says Brahms, as he puts the shirts back into the suitcase. I don't see how I can work anyplace else. It's not the children. But in that case, you must stay, she says, and puts the shirts back into the drawer. And as she has her back to him, he says, I love you, Clara. I loved you from the first moment I entered this house, and I shall always love you, as long as I live. And at that moment, she takes the shirts and puts them into the suitcase. Goes out of the room and says, we'll miss you, Johannes. And goes downstairs where Schumann is just writing this and playing it with his back to her. And without turning around says, I had to get away from Faust for a while. I call it arabesque. Do you like it? And turns around and sees her cry. What is it? Johannes. Leaving. Of course, he's in love with you. Robert, how did you know? go around the house innocent like an angel, and you wonder why people fall in love with you. He will make his way. And then there's a long fade out, and then there's a rather horrible scene where Schumann conducts his Faust, and Clara and Reinecke are in the wings, and everything is fine until suddenly he hears the A, and the chorus stops, and the orchestra stops, and the concertmaster has to escort him backstage, and it's in the middle of the piece, and one knows it's the end of Schumann, and there's a long, long fade out. And the next scene in the asylum, there he sits in the armchair, and there's a grand piano in the middle of the room, and Clara, Robert, I'm so happy to see you, and see you so well. Oh, yes, Robert, yes. I was silly. I thought I couldn't work anymore, but I was mistaken. Yes, of course, I see you work today. Yes, I work today. I wrote a piece for you. I wrote it today. I will play it for you now. And the tears start streaming down her face as she turns to him and says, "Oh, Robert, it is beautiful." And Robert says, "Yes, I wrote it today for you." And long, long fade out. Robert Walker again walking towards the Schumann house. And Bertha opening the door. "Why, Mr. Brahms, after all this time, the children are all away." And Mrs. Schumann has not come down since Professor Schumann died. So he goes upstairs into the big music room, and he sees all the curtains are drawn, and he opens the curtains and makes light come in, and he reaches in his pocket for a key, and he unlocks the piano. He plays. And sure enough, just like 20 years previously, Clara comes in. "Johannes, Clara, tonight in Cologne, they're doing my first symphony. Will you come?" "Oh, Johannes, but I don't go out anymore. I haven't left the house since Robert died. Clara, I have to talk to you. This is wrong. You're leading your life wrong. You're shutting yourself up. You're living in the past. You're living with your sorrow. You should live with the future. Johannes, did you buy your brutality at the same store where you bought your new and beautiful clothes?" "No, Clara. I mean well. You live with the future. Be like Robert. Remember him. He lived with the future. Always looking ahead. Remember, he thought he was composing the day he died. Träumerei. Please come." And he leaves the room. And there's a fade out. And sure enough, Brahms, his first symphony, is standing downstairs. And by chance, he looks up in a box, and there is none other than Clara. And he rushes upstairs and says, "Clara, how wonderful that you came. Oh, Johannes, how could I not?" And people in the box go, "Shh. How could I miss this, Clara? Oh, if you only knew what this means to me, Clara, that you came after all. How could I miss it, Johannes?" So Brahms says, "I am hungry." And he takes her by the arm and goes out. And the people in the box say, "Why, this barbarian, doesn't he know good music when he hears it?" And the lady next to him says, "This particular barbarian happens to be Johannes Brahms." And the music fades out, and the camera follows Johannes and Clara as they sit down in a beer garden and drink beer and decide it's so nice to be somewhere where nobody knows them. And no sooner has the gypsy violinist spotted them that he goes and plays. And Clara says, "No, Johannes, one would have to go far nowadays to get to a place where nobody knows you, because everybody knows you everywhere now. I'm so happy for you, Johannes. You're well, and you're happy, and you're working beautifully, and you're being performed and published, and everybody loves your music." And Brahms says, "Yes, Clara, I write music that I like, and people like it, and play it, and publish it, but I'm not happy, Clara. will you marry me, Clara? Because for Johannes, it's not possible. I'm so much older than you, and you have 7 children, and doesn't say anything else. And Johannes says, well, Clara, you can continue leading your life the way you are, shutting yourself up, living sadly in the past, but only in the past, with nothing to look forward to. And I can continue living my life the way I do, writing music and being externally happy and being liked and being successful. But I won't like it, Clara. And I can tell you something, Clara. You won't like it either. And tears are flowing down her face, and one knows that any moment she's going to say yes, any moment. But the waltz is finished, and the fiddler looks at Clara and starts playing with a huge vibrato and on the G string, and bursts into tears and says, how did you know this? And he says, well, I'm a musician, madame. And he continues. And she weeps bitterly and says, oh, Johannes, and there's all this talk of my needing you and you needing me, but in reality, Robert needs me, because Robert is still alive, and Robert will remain alive as long as his music is alive. And I have to see to it, Johannes, that his music remains alive as long as I am alive. And with that, there's a flash on the screen which says, and this was her decision, to keep the music of Robert Schumann alive by playing it all over Europe. Many, many, many years later, Clara's farewell concert works by Schumann, ending with a concerto. All Schumann program, orchestra in the pit, ending with a concerto. The King of Saxony in his box, looking almost the way he did as a 6-year-old in the beginning of the movie, doing the same thing. And he says to his neighbor, I can still remember the speech I had to make then when she played. This week, we've listened to your performance with great interest. Yes, I remember it. And flowers are being thrown, of course, and will not end, the applause will not end until finally she just stands there. And when it subsides, she looks at the royal box and says, Your Majesty, ladies and gentlemen, it is strange how through the years we have come to love the same music. I know my husband and I should like to thank you. Your Majesty, you may not recall, but long, oh so many years ago, I played for you one of my husband's favorite compositions. It remained his favorite until the day he died. Do you mind if I play it now? And the King of Saxony goes, please, please. And Clara, weak Schumann, sits down and as people are closing their programs, they know that they will never hear her again. It's her farewell recital. concert, the end of Clara Schumann's piano career, and the end of the film as well. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the New York Times records that Claude Frank left one audience, one of his performances, shaken and ennobled. And I think we've joined that club. Let's hear it again for... Thank you for sharing that with us.